Hey guys, welcome back to our channel. My name is Mario Florima, and I'm the #1 educator in the Amazon FBA asset recovery space. And today we will be talking about what documents work versus don't work. Guys, a lot of sellers think any document is better than no document. Unfortunately, Amazon doesn't see it that way. The wrong document can actually hurt your appeal faster than submitting nothing at all. That's why understanding what works and what gets rejected instantly is so important. In this video, we're breaking down the documents Amazon wants to see, the ones they don't, and the mistakes that destroy appeals every day. Most sellers lose before the appeal even starts, not because they're wrong, not because the products are fake, because they're using outdated strategies, old templates, old advice, old tactics. Guys, Amazon's enforcement system has changed dramatically. What worked a few years ago often fails today. So in other words, if you're fighting a 2026 suspension using a 2020 strategy, you're already at a disadvantage. The real reason? Most appeals fail. A lot of sellers think one violation caused the suspension. Usually, that's not the full story. Amazon tracks patterns, listing warnings, return spikes, incomplete documentation, slow responses, repeated submission mistakes. At the same time, Amazon watches behavioral signals like delayed replies, inconsistent branding, and repeated failed appeal attempts. Guys, Amazon doesn't just evaluate a violation, they evaluate the overall risk of your business. This is something many sellers realize too late. One business owner focused entirely on the complaint that triggered the suspension. He kept trying to explain that one issue, but when the account was reviewed more closely, there were other warning signs already building up. Returns had increased, documentation gaps existed, and several previous notifications had gone unanswered. The suspension wasn't caused by one event, it was caused by a pattern. Because, guys, Amazon rarely looks at problems in isolation, hidden triggers and warning signs. Here's the part most sellers never see. Amazon is constantly watching for patterns, slow response times, unresolved notifications, frequent listing changes, unverified supplier information, repeated listing inaccuracies, and return spikes without explanation. Guys, one warning may not seem serious, but when several warning signs start stacking together, Amazon often sees that as a systemic problem rather than an isolated mistake. Invoices that work, the must-haves. When Amazon asks for invoices, there are certain requirements that simply aren't optional. The invoice should be recent, ideally issued within the last 365 days. It should come from an authorized distributor. Product identifiers must be visible. Supplier details must be complete and verifiable. And the business name must match Seller Central exactly. Guys, if any of these core requirements are missing, you're going to have a bad time during verification. Invoices that don't, common rejection triggers. Pro forma invoices are one of the biggest mistakes because they aren't final sales documents. Over editing is another problem. Even excessive highlighting can trigger altered document concerns. And then we have file formats, Word documents, Excel files, Google Docs. Guys, Amazon treats editable files as potential tampering risks. That's why PDF, JPG, and PNG formats perform much better during reviews. The hidden trap of unverifiable suppliers. This is where many sellers get blindsided. The invoice looks perfect. The products are authentic. Everything appears legitimate. But Amazon investigates the supplier too. They check websites, phone numbers, addresses, online business presence. Guys, if the supplier can't be verified independently, the invoice often gets rejected regardless of how authentic the products are. Utility bills, acceptable types and requirements. When Amazon requests utility bills, not every bill qualifies. Electricity, gas, water, internet, landline phone services, those are generally accepted. Mobile phone bills and streaming services usually are not. The bill should also be recent, typically within 90 days, and the name and address must match Seller Central exactly. Guys, even small address mismatches can trigger immediate rejection. The metadata problem and solution. Here's a technical problem many sellers never think about. Digital utility bills often contain hidden metadata, download history, device information, portal tracking codes, creation records. Amazon's automated systems sometimes flag that information. The simple solution: print the document, take a clear photo, submit the image version instead. Guys, removing metadata can dramatically improve document acceptance rates. Letters of authorization, the secret weapon. For many brands, a letter of authorization is one of the strongest documents you can provide, but Amazon expects specific things: official brand letterhead, a real signature, a date, authorized products, and ideally, an email from the brand's verified domain. What doesn't work? Generic templates, screenshots, informal emails, self-created letters. Guys, Amazon wants direct proof from the actual brand owner. Why the POA is obsolete in 2026. This surprises a lot of sellers. For many violations, Amazon no longer asks asks for a traditional plan of action. In fact, submitting a POA when Amazon didn't request one can actually create problems. Why? Because Amazon may interpret it as an unnecessary admission of guilt. Guys, always follow the exact instructions in the notification. If Amazon doesn't ask for a POA, don't assume they want one. The ChatGPT and AI Trap. A lot of sellers are using AI to write appeals now, and that's creating new problems. Amazon reviewers see thousands of submissions every week. They recognize common AI patterns very quickly. Generic wording, template language, outdated policy references. Guys, AI can help organize ideas, but if the appeal sounds synthetic or copied, it may hurt credibility instead of helping. Why emailing executives is useless. A few years ago, emailing executives became a popular appeal strategy. Today, not so much. Amazon's escalation systems have changed significantly. Executive teams aren't reviewing random appeal emails the way they once did. And honestly, relying on outdated tactics often signals that you're using old information. Guys, Amazon responds to strong documentation and compliance, not internet myths. Let's talk about 3 mistakes that destroy otherwise good submissions. First, over-editing documents. Second, name mismatches. Even small differences can cause issues. And third, wrong file formats. Guys, these mistakes are responsible for a huge percentage of rejected appeals. Sometimes the documents are authentic, but the formatting alone causes failure. How Amazon verifies documents behind the scenes. Most sellers only see the document request. They never see the investigation happening behind it. Amazon reviews supplier legitimacy, document consistency, dates, contact information, business relationships, and authenticity indicators. Guys, this process is much deeper than simply checking whether an invoice exists. Amazon is trying to verify trust across the entire supply chain. Case study, reinstatement after 4 rejections. This case shows why details matter. The seller submitted authentic invoices 4 separate times, and all 4 appeals failed. Eventually, the real problem was discovered. The supplier's website wasn't working. The phone number couldn't be verified. Amazon couldn't confirm the supplier existed. Once that issue was fixed and new documentation was submitted, the account was reinstated in 72 hours. Guys, sometimes the problem isn't the document, it's the supplier behind it. Why brand approval is a trust test. Amazon isn't just reviewing paperwork, they're evaluating trust, supplier legitimacy, document consistency, response speed, compliance history. All of it matters, guys. Amazon wants confidence that your entire business operation is reliable. That's why trust signals often influence outcomes as much as the documents themselves. This is where trust becomes more important than most sellers expect. One seller had invoices and supplier information and all the documents Amazon requested, but the review still wasn't moving forward. Why? The supplier information raised questions. Responses were delayed, and parts of the account history showed compliance issues. Individually, none of those problems seemed major. Together, and they weakened Amazon's confidence in the business, because in other words, documents prove facts. Trust determines how those facts are viewed. The 2026 document checklist. Before submitting anything, run through a checklist. Recent invoices, authorized distributors, visible product identifiers, verifiable supplier information, matching business names, recent utility bills, proper authorization letters, and no unnecessary edits. Guys, one missing requirement can completely change the outcome of an appeal. What to do if you're still blocked? So what happens if you've submitted documents and you're still blocked? Start by reviewing the rejection carefully. Request manual review when appropriate. Escalate strategically if needed. Audit your entire supply chain and identify what Amazon still doesn't trust. Guys, a rejection doesn't always mean the case is over. It usually means something important still needs to be fixed. Guys, successful appeals aren't built on luck. They're built on strong documentation, verified suppliers, and strategies that actually match Amazon's current enforcement standards. Hope you guys found value in today's video and have a more clear understanding of what Amazon thinks when this suspension happened. If this video provides value, please like, share, and subscribe for more helpful content. If you're an Amazon reinstatement consultant and you're looking to see if you qualify to be in our Rios Inner Circle group, then feel free to check out the links below in our description section. We host free masterclasses every week where we dive more into specific topics like these and give you more details on how you can better assist your clients while saving you time, money, headaches, and most importantly, protect your business assets moving forward like always. See you guys next time.